Could you survive a Nazi concentration camp for 30 days? Just try to picture yourself being put into the hell that was a Nazi concentration camp, with little to no chance of surviving. The conditions were deplorable, and there was a minimal chance that anyone would survive them. What would you do, though, if you were challenged to live in one of these camps for 1 month? Could you endure the torture the guards inflicted, including beatings, malnutrition, and forced labor? Curious to know more? Now let's get deeper into this. Hello everyone, and welcome to our channel. Remember to subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon to ensure that you get all the updates. It's hard to say if someone could make it 30 days in a Nazi concentration camp. Due to the harsh conditions, many captives did not make it even a few days or weeks in these camps. Forced work, malnutrition, sickness, and guard brutality were just some of the hardships endured by the inmates. Many more were executed by a gas chamber or other means. A person would require luck, physical stamina, and mental fortitude to make it through 30 days in a concentration camp. Even if they did, they still wouldn't have a chance. To persevere and maintain optimism under these conditions requires tremendous strength of will. A person's chances of survival would also be affected by factors like their general health, whether or not they had a job that would be beneficial in the camp, whether or not they spoke German, whether or not they were in good shape, etc. It's hard to determine how someone might do in such an unfathomable situation because the Holocaust was a unique historical event. Remembering the crimes of that time and paying tribute to the lives lost in concentration camps is vital. People the Nazis regarded unfit for society were sent to concentration camps during the Holocaust. Political opponents, Jews, and other persecuted groups were sent to these camps for various reasons, including forced labor, extermination, and imprisonment. The first concentration camps were set up within a short amount of time of the Nazi Party taking power in Germany in 1933. They were initially intended to confine communists and socialists, among other political opponents. Later, they were extended to marginalized communities like Jews, homosexuals, Romani, and the disabled. Concentration camps had terrible circumstances. Forced work, malnutrition, disease, and guard brutality were just some of the horrors endured by the inmates. Death by gas chamber, firing squads, and medical experimentation were common for many. Many captives perished in concentration camps due to sickness, malnutrition, and cruel treatment. The Nazis built a wide variety of camps, such as concentration lager, KL, where prisons where convicts were kept in terrible conditions and forced to work. Camps were built to kill large numbers of inmates, primarily Jews, Vernichtungslager. In the concentration camps, Todeslager, people were murdered in gas chambers. The concentration camps, like Arbeitslager, whose primary purpose was the forced production of goods. For a short period, inmates were housed in transit camps known as Durchgangslager, before being transferred to other camps. Auschwitz is the epitome of Nazi depravity. It was both the largest concentration camp and the most prominent site of the Holocaust. However, the history of the concentration camps and the Holocaust spanned far beyond Auschwitz. During the Nazi regime, 1933 to 1945, the SS ran approximately 25 main camps and an additional 1,100 smaller satellite camps. However, these camps did not all function simultaneously. The SS system, the inmate population, the working conditions, and the physical structures were constantly evolving. This was not your usual concentration camp. 7 years before the establishment of Auschwitz, on January 27, 1940, the history of the camps began. Weimar Republic, German democracy, collapsed after the Great Depression. The Nazi government under Adolf Hitler eventually replaced it. Millions of Germans rejected the Nazi Party, even though it gained more than 44% of the vote in the most recent multi-party elections in March 1933. The new regime was highly violent toward any perceived or actual threats. Early camps housed a sizable number of victims. Political prisoners, especially German communists, made up most inmates in 1933. As a result, many people were subjected to violence and abuse. Yet, deaths remained uncommon, and most inmates were released within a few weeks at most. The widespread terror of the concentration camps ultimately put down the opposition of the Nazis. Thus, fewer opponents were imprisoned. By October 1934, there were only 2,400 inmates still held in concentration camps. Some onlookers speculated that the centers would eventually vanish entirely, but Adolf Hitler was adamant about keeping the camps open. He appreciated the advantages of a state of terror untainted by the rule of law. As a result, Hitler gave Heinrich Himmler head of the SS, his blessing to establish a network of permanent concentration camps. This SS system had 6 separate centers that could accommodate 21,400 prisoners when war broke out in the fall of 1939, following the German invasion of Poland. Concentration camps mushroomed over Nazi-occupied Europe during World War II. Auschwitz was the first of many new concentration camps, opened in 1940 to suppress the Polish resistance. Camp conditions, already deplorable, had become fatal. Illness and malnutrition claimed the lives of many captives. Hundreds more people were killed via execution or inhumane medical tests. The camps took part in the Holocaust beginning in 1942. The Nazis killed 6 million European Jews, the vast majority outside concentration camps, where they were shot or gassed. A concentration camp, Auschwitz in particular, was the single most deadly location during the Holocaust. Nearly 1 million Jews were murdered in these gas chambers by the SS. After the war's midpoint, the populations of Auschwitz and other concentration camps surged. The SS utilized as slave labor anyone they deemed employable. Jews and non-Jews, inmates worked long hours daily, laying down roadwork, excavating tunnels and crushing rocks, among other tasks. By early 1945, the number of prisoners had risen to almost 700,000 by that time. The SS had established a system of satellite camps near major industrial centers and construction projects, where most prisoners were detained. In the early months of 1945, Allied forces defeated the remnants of the Third Reich. However, freedom came too late for many people in concentration camps. Approximately 300,000 captives perished between January and May 1945, when Germany surrendered. These people perished in the terrible compounds and, on death, marched out from the abandoned camps due to sickness, malnutrition, and execution. Between 1933 and 1945, over 2.3 million people, including men, women, and children, were sent to concentration camps. Several factors, including their ages, genders, and countries of origin, determined their destinies. Jews, political prisoners, both German and foreign, homosexuals, criminals, gypsies, Soviet POWs, and Jehovah's Witnesses were only some of the various groups held captives. Everyone in the camps had a unique experience. Although tension ran high among the inmates, there was a lot of solidarity and defiance. The SS enforced a strict regime at the death camps. It had stringent regulations and routines. No average camp, no typical prisoner, and no usual offender. Some members of Camp SS may have been decent people who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Most, however, adapted swiftly to the SS' brutal treatment of inmates and supported it to the end. There was no happy ending to liberation. Many of the prisoners had already died before the Allies arrived. The survivors, who were also left with a painful legacy from the camps, they were hurt physically and psychologically, and the offenders usually went free. Meanwhile, regular Germans frequently claimed they didn't know anything. They explained that they were unaware of the SS atrocities. Sadly, this is just one of many fabrications concerning the concentration camps. Because after all, everyone knew about the camps by the time of the Third Reich. We must first fully comprehend their background to dispel such falsehoods and draw wisdom from the camps. As we complete our tour of the Nazi concentration camp, it's critical to remember that the Holocaust was historically unprecedented and that the conditions there were far worse than most people could have ever imagined. The physical and mental toll was severe, and many inmates did not make it even a few days or weeks. It is impossible to properly appreciate the genuine horrors of what happened during the Holocaust. Our experiment was a little window into the unspeakable agony that transpired in these camps. It's critical to remember that the Holocaust served as both a history lesson and a warning about the horrors that might result from allowing hate and prejudice to proliferate. Let's use this information to uplift others, educate ourselves, combat prejudice and hatred, and seek to build a more equitable and just society for all. Join us the next time as we take on a new survival test in a unique and complex area if you're up for another challenge. So what do you think? Leave a comment and let us know. Thank you for watching the video. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you still need to. Also, put on the notifications because the following video is going to be a great one.